Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Vangme manasi pratisthita mano me vachi pratishthitam avirāvirmayedhi vedasya ma'ani isthah shrutam me ma prahasirani nadhite nahoratran sandadhami ritam vadishyami satyam vadishyami tanmamavatu tadvaktaramavatu avatu mam avatu bhaktaram Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. So we are in chapter 6, as we know. And here the reference is Maya and its nature. We say is
Ishvara.
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 Yeah, so Ishvara and Maya. What is the nature of Ishvara? So the question was, what is the evidence that Ishvara, what we know Ishvara, is Maya Pratibimbita Chaitanya. That means consciousness reflected in Maya. So what is the evidence? So the previous shloka, because otherwise we'll miss this, the previous shloka is Mayadhinaha Chidabhasaha. Chidabhasa means consciousness. Abhasa of Chit, when awareness is reflected in Maya. Mayadhinaha Chidabhasaha. Sruto Mai Maheshwara. Shruti says this. Mai, that means the possessor of Maya, or the consciousness that is reflected in Maya. So that the source is the Ishvara, Mai, possessor of Maya, Mayadhisha. That means the Lord of Maya, possessor and controller of Maya. Antaryami cha sarvagyaha jagat yonihi sa evahi. And he is Antaryami. Antaryami means who controls living within. Antaryami. Antare nihate yamayati yah saha. So Antaryami cha sarvagyan, he is all-knowing. Jagat yonihi. And who is the source of this created world? Sa evahi. So in short, Shruti says that this pure universal consciousness reflected in Maya is Ishvara. So reflected in Maya is Ishvara. Controls Maya as well. The great Ishvara is the inner ruler, omniscient, and cause of the universe. So it is said in Shetashvatar Upanishad. So Mayam tum prakritim vidyan, Mayinam tu Maheshwara. Prakriti is Maya, and the controller or possessor of Maya is Mai. Now, the question here comes, if consciousness reflected in Maya, if that is what you are claiming is God himself, Ishvara, God is not right word, so we'll refer as Ishvara. God here we denote both, who is involved or who is not involved also. And Brahman Ishvara, that will be better word. So now next shloka says, Shaushuptam Ananda Mayam Prakramaivam Shrutir Jagau Esha Sarveshwara iti Soyam Vedokta Ishvara. So Veda says this. What is Veda? Shruti. Shruti means Upanishads. Few Upanishads are mentioned, especially Brihadaranyaka and also Mandukya Upanishad. So the Shruti in the passage beginning with the consciousness in the deep sleep and ending in He is the Lord of all, describe this sheath of bliss as the Ishvara. So sheath of bliss. What is sheath of bliss? Anandamaya kosha. Anandamaya kosha. Now individually we can understand what is Anandamaya kosha. Individually, as we go to sleep and gradually we dream, and a time comes when there is no dream. But in that state, we have experience. We experience joy, bliss. But that is in the presence of ajnana, ignorance. Think of a situation when you experience joy consciously and not in ignorance. So Sri Ramakrishna enters into samadhi. So there the impulses of the world is no more, but he is aware of himself. So in that state, it is not ignorance that is present. And when he reflects on consciousness, then he is Ishvara. In the Upanishads, there is no concept of incarnation. So what is the evidence? So in the case of Sri Ramakrishna, one day, Narendranath and others were there, and he showed like this. Whatever. So he asked Narendranath, could you understand? He said, yes. What is that you understood? Then Narendranath said, whatever all this, it is from you. So this is very difficult to conceive. Generally, we have concept, and it is for long, that God is somewhere sitting outside there. It's our natural thinking. This God is creating, and since all this is outside, so He must be somewhere sitting. But for a Brahmagyani, that is not the case. And God is within us. God is residing within us. Ishvaraha sarva bhutanam riddeshe Arjuna tishtati. O Arjuna, God is residing within each heart. What is heart? Heart is the center of our being. Center of our being. So Sri Ramakrishna showed like this. Everything, and then Narendranath interpreted that everything came from you. So here, just imagine, see, as of now, we are individual. We are individual people. So this is called pragya. Pragya means now we are jiva. We are jiva. and we have awareness, but it is reflected in this created world. Then we see, we also like we have concept of ourselves. So this is called prajna. Now, when we go to sleep, that is, no, so this is Vishwa, sorry, Vishwa. Vishwa, and when we go to sleep, that is Taijasa. Taijasa. The technical term, a name is given. Taijasa means dream and dream world and the awareness. Awareness, dream, dream world. And then comes the dream also ceases to exist. It is merged in one. Everything is one. But I am conscious. Only thing, I do not know what is happening. So in ignorance, this is called prajna. So three words are there. One is called Vishwa. Vishwa means it's a technical term. This is Vishwa. And Taijasa when we are in dream state, and Pragya when we are in dreamless state. And fourth is Turiya. So corresponding when it is Shamashti, Shamashti means when it is together, the whole universe, universal, then it's called Virat. Virat means grossified. And whatever is objective world. And then when it is subtle, then it's called Hiranyagarbha. From Hiranyagarbha, everything comes, whatever is gross. And then that what we have prajna state, that is called Ishvara, collectively. Collectively, it is called Ishvara. So, these three words, one is Vishwa, Tejasa, Pragya for individual, and collective it is called Virat, Hiranyagarbha, and Ishvara. So what is the difference between two, Ishvara and Pragya? Same awareness, consciousness, one is under ignorance, and another is same awareness, consciousness without ignorance. And because he is without ignorance, he knows everything. Because whatever is created, it is created in the domain of this projected world. And whatever is projected, he knows everything, every bit of it. That's why Sarvagya. And secondly, because he's not covered, his awareness is not covered like us. So he's the controller of it. He can control in any way he likes. So this is the difference between individual and collective. Now, when you say Sri Ramakrishna or say Krishna, Krishna says that I control Maya and incarnate myself. That's why he is Ishvara, he is God himself. So what happens when Jiva transcends this Jivatva? So he attains his fourth, that Chaturtha, Turiya. So that is what is being said here. That so Shaushuptam Anandamayam Prakrabhaivam Shrutir Jagau. So let me translate, because that's Shaushuptam. The Shruti in the passage beginning with the consciousness in the deep sleep and ending in He is the Lord of all, describe this sheath of bliss as the Ishvara. So is it sheath of bliss Ishvara? Not sheath of bliss. It is the consciousness reflected on Shita bliss. So consciousness, because then he is Sarvagya Sarvavit. He knows everything in details, everything in general, and also everything in particular. So, in short, that is what is being said here. So it will be clear. There are so many other Shushupta Sthana that Mandukya Upanishad says. Shushupta Sthana Ekibhutaha. Ekibhuta means united. In Shushupti, everything merges in one. Why? Because we cannot perceive many. So naturally, we understand everything is merged in one, Ekibhuta. Prajnana Ghana. And it is full of awareness, consciousness. Only awareness is there. Even for individual person. Only he does not recognize or does not know what is the nature of it.
Swami,
Yes,
is Sri Ramakrishna the same? I mean, does Sri Ramakrishna all knowing in this way,
correct.
or when he becomes human, he loses some of that awareness?
So this is when he, as if, say, Einstein once forgot to take his specs. So he went to this is a story, to a restaurant and he ordered something. Then the attendant brought the bill. So he said, "Can you read for me?" He asked the attendant. He said, "You are so old and you don't know how to read." So, when another example, you are doing a drama, you are taking part in a drama, and you are to play a part of a, say, beggar. So you cannot say that time, I am David, I am not a beggar. So you have to take that, whatever the character is asked, you have to take that form. So Sri Ramakrishna, when, Paramahamsa is not controlled by anything. Sometimes he's like a child, sometimes he's like a lion man, and sometimes he's very, even the word is coming, flirting. But, Rasharaj in Bengali, Rasharaj. So wherever he is, he can, and he's not bound. If you insult him, he'll not mind. Because that idea of individuality goes away. So this is a very difficult question. And even Pandits have various views. So, not to be discouraged, but this is very, very tricky situation. How can one become Ishvara? Is it that layer? Abhyakrita, it's called Abhyakrita Ishvara. Abhyakrita means not expanded. Not expanded. So, when we go to Sushupti, do we become God? See, we have not attained that knowledge. Think of that. When you attain that knowledge, if you attain that knowledge, that is the state of Ishvara. And it's very difficult because we are considering from our waking standpoint. When one attains that state, then only one can understand. So anyway, so Shushupta Sthana Ekibhuta, united. We can understand this much. Ekibhuta, because we become united. Then Pragyana Ghana, yes, that is also we understand. Because in Sushupti, our awareness is not deflected. It's united and it's whole. and eva anandamaya. Anandamaya. So that also we understand, blissful. And he anandabhuk, cheto mukha pragyaha. So this we understand. But until or unless we realize ourselves, we cannot comprehend this, that the same Maya is covering Ishvara. As in our Sushupti, we experience under ignorance, but God or Ishvara is of the same nature. Only the layer is, or covering portion is Maya. So anyway, we will read this because this is a bit tricky. So Mundaka Upanishad says, Mandukya Upanishad says, here Ishvara is the consciousness reflected in the totality of bliss sheaths. Totality of with bliss sheath. It has been stated above that Ishvara is the reflection of consciousness in the vasana, and as the bliss sheath is nothing else than such a reflection. It is called Ishvara. This, however, is a concession to those who cannot comprehend the higher conception in the beginning. Okay, I'll read a little more. Here, the author clearly says that this sheath of bliss is Ishvara. Much dust of controversy as over the previous shloka has been raised over this statement. The point, however, is this: a jiva is a reflected consciousness, individualized, and a Ishvara is reflected consciousness of the totality. Now, can there be totality without individuals? So Ishvara must of necessity include jivas. In each drop of Ganga water, the Ganga abides, and yet all the drops severely do not constitute the Ganga. You know, it's very difficult to conceive how an individual, when realized, and the same consciousness is reflected, on this bliss sheath, Anandamaya Kosha. How that is Ishvara. So, but we have to go along with, and there are, our argument, counter arguments there. But anyway, we'll go forward because we cannot stop here.
The best is yet to come.
Yeah, correct. So next we go forward. Sarvajñattvadi ke tasya naiva vipratipadyatam. Srotartha sya vitarkyatvat mayayam sarvas sambhavat. So the omniscience and other properties of the bliss sheath are not to be questioned. The omniscience and other properties of the bliss sheath are not to be questioned because the assertions of the Shruti are beyond dispute, and because everything is possible in Maya. So he's taking this way, but we give nice examples. We can understand this. A director of a movie knows each and every item of that movie. That means he is the creator, he knows everything. He is present in the whole thing. A story writer knows everything of that story. A painter, when he paints something, knows everything of it. So, This way we can understand that the awareness or consciousness, when creates something, he must be all-knowing, sarvagyatva. And not only sarvagyatva, but is a ekibhuta, united. Why ekibhuta? Because we cannot see many. And pragyanaghana. Why pragyanaghana? Because it's a concentrated awareness, concentrated consciousness, not deflected or reflected in many avenues. In our waking state, it is deflected. But when you are concentrated, that's why we are to practice concentration. And when concentration is attained, then what happens? Then all other, say, the coverings will give way. It cannot hide anymore. That's why what happens? A scientist, when concentrates, the matter reveals its secret. Similarly, if you can concentrate on yourself, then your real nature is revealed. Buddhists, how they do? They don't say like concentrate on God. They say concentrate on your breath and just have that attention. So this way what happens, when concentration is attained, then the secret is revealed. In Bhagavad Gita also, he did not say that you concentrate on me. No. He says, Yato yato nishcharati manushchanchalam asthiram tatostato niyamitat atmaneva vasham nayat. Make it, when mind goes here and there, bring it back and concentrate on the self. Then self will reveal. Then only we can understand how this is created. So, ekibhuta pragyanaghana eva anandamaya. Anandamaya, it is full of bliss. That is what is the Shita bliss. And he Yananda Bhuk, eva Anandamaya, he Ananda Bhuk, and he enjoys. Bhuk means who enjoys also. He's enjoying his joy. And Chetomukha, and his awareness, consciousness. Pragyaha, Tritiya, Padaha. So this is not to be doubted. Here he says not to be doubted. Why? Because Sarvagyatto, this we also can experience, at least we can infer. Now we go to the next. Ayam yat srijate vishwam tadanya Ayam yat srijate vishwam tadanyatha athaitum puman nakopi shaktaha tenayam sarveshwara iti ritaha. So, since nobody has the power to alter the world of waking and dream states, say we cannot alter the world that we see. Neither we can alter the dream experience that we observe, which are projected from the bliss sheath. Because already it is projected. You know, once the story is written, it cannot be changed in written portion. The director can change. Why? Because he is above that. He's in another level. The painter has painted. Once painted, only painter can change, not the creatures in that painted. The creation cannot change itself. That's why we cannot change this. But when we are in that state, and when we realize ourselves, then it can be changed. Okay. Since nobody has the power, the created world has the power to alter the world of waking and dream states, which are projected from the bliss sheath, it is proper to call it the Lord of all. That's why Sarvagya. Here, Sarvagya, Sarvavit. And Ekibhuta, and Pragya, Tritiya. Ishvara. Ishvara, that means the definition is of Ishvara. So, since nobody has the power of alter, see, nobody in the created world has power to alter it. Nobody in dream world has power to alter the dream. Who can alter? The person who is in deep sleep. Deep sleep means not individual. That not individual, but Ishvara, who is the controller. Only he can change. Which are the projected form, since nobody has the power to alter the world of waking and dream states, which are projected from the bliss sheath, it is proper to call it the Lord of all, because it is coming from that projection. He can change. Ashesha prani buddhinam vasanaha tatra samstitah tabhi kridikritam sarvam tena sarvagya irita. In the bliss sheath, in here, all the desires and mental impressions of all living beings, inasmuch as it knows them, impressions all, it is called omniscient. Let me read it again. Ashesha. So all the desires of the created being in the bliss sheath, in here, that means everything when it is in bliss sheath, all vasana, etc., everything goes and merges. So in that state, in the bliss sheath, in here, all the desires and mental impressions of all living beings, in as much as it knows them, that means it knows the impressions, it is called omniscient. Okay, our example is easier. His example is very technical, but our example is easier. Author of a story knows every bit of it because he projected this. So what he's saying, in our bliss sheath, all the vasanas, everything, impressions of living beings are merged. Therefore, the Ishvara knows every bit of it. But our example is better. Okay. So anyway, we go forward. Vasananam parakshatvat. Any question here? David? Okay. You are mute.
No question, Swami.
Okay. Because this is easier to understand instead of say the text. Vasananam parakshatvat sarvagyatvam na hi ikshate. Sarva buddhishu tat drashtva vasanasya anumiyatam. Now doubt comes. The omniscience alleged to be the nature of the bliss sheath is not evident because the impressions are not known directly. So in our case, what happens? We do not know what is the impression of David or XYZ. Though everything is merged there, but individually, we do not know. But who created, if he wants to know, yes, everything is visible. That's why all the dialogues, the author knows all the dialogues, and sometimes doubts also come. So author writes there. So the omniscience alleged to be the nature of the bliss sheath is not evident because the impressions are not known directly. Reply. Its knowledge of the impressions, though not directly felt, is inherent from observation of its presence in all mentations. So this is again the same thing that we cannot understand from our standpoint, because we are created being. Created being cannot understand the understanding of Ishvara. So that is why this question comes. The omniscience alleged to be the nature of the bliss sheath. So omniscient, how it is omniscient in bliss sheath? So that's the question. Because it is not evident, because the impressions are not known directly. The answer he gave, its knowledge of the impressions, though not directly felt, is inferred. So here he says that because this is all merged there, naturally all impressions, all desires must be present there. This we can infer. But same, our example is better. Author knows every bit of dialogues, but the created story or the characters, they cannot say, they do not know. Though they can infer that it must be with the author. This we can infer. Vigyataram arekena bijaniya. So we are in the domain of Mahamaya. We have limited understanding. Though we may go to Shushupti, deep sleep, dreamless sleep, but because we are in that and we have not realized, so we do not know. But Ishvara, on the other hand, because he has realized, he knows every bit of it. We only can infer, but he knows. Okay. Vijnanamaya mukhyeshu kosheshu anyatra chaivahi antasthitash tishtanyamayapi yamayati yanant. Okay, the same thing he's saying, that he controls everything. Since Ishvara, the consciousness in the bliss sheath, abides in all activities and controls all the functions of all other sheaths, beginning with that of the intellect and elsewhere also in creation. It is called the inner controller. So Antaryami, he controls everything, being within, Antaryami. Our example is, here also it is better. Like author controls everything. And say sometimes it is not fitting. Okay, he'll change it. But the characters cannot change. Okay. We go forward. Otherwise, the interest will go. Buddhau tishtan antaro sya. The Shruti says that the Lord abides in the intellect. So Lord abides in intellect and has the intellect as his body. instrument, but the intellect does not know him. It is itself controlled by him. So it is as simple as that. We have intellect. What is that? Knower, object of knowledge, and process of knowledge. Knower, object of knowledge, and process of knowledge. This is our intellect. And he is behind it. His consciousness. His presence acts in these three ways. So how intellect can understand, fathom it? That's why Sri Ramakrishna says that sometimes, a Brahma devotee asked, "Sir, what happens in your samadhi?" So he said, it happens like meditating a pupa, one becomes that butterfly. So similarly, one gets transformed. Then he said, is there any ego there? He said, yes, sometimes yes, a little ego is there. He keeps a little ego so that I can enjoy. When there are two, then only one can enjoy. Like there is sugar and eater of sugar. But sometimes he effaces that ego also. Sri Ramakrishna says this. Then what happens? You cannot say. When you have ego, separation, little separation, then you are the knower. Process of knowing, an object of knowledge, then only it is there. So when you are subservient to that, you cannot know him, because you by which you know. How can you know that? Vigyataram are kena vijanya. See, it is like this. Through eyes I see. Eyes cannot see itself. Through light we see. Light cannot see itself. So knowledge by which everything shines, then only we know that something is to be known. There is the process of knowing, and there is the knower. Knower means you have ego. When you have ego, then you know. But when there is no ego, who knows whom? So that's what is being said. The Shruti says that the Lord abides in the intellect and has the intellect as his body. Intellect is body. And that in Taittiriya Upanishad also it says. Okay. But the intellect does not know him. It is self-controlled by him. Yah sarveshu bhuteshu tishtan sarvebhyo bhutebhyo antara yam sarvani bhutani na vidur yasya sarvani bhutani shariram yah sarvani bhuta antaro yamayatyesha ta atmantaryamyamritam ityadi bhutam athadhyatmam brihadaranyaka. Even in Taittiriya Upanishad also. So, this is the idea. Because he is residing within, ya sarveshu bhuteshu tishtan sarvebhya bhutebhya antaraha yam sarvani bhutani na vidur yasya. So, when he resides within, so all bhutas cannot know him. Because awareness only can be inferred from there. But the consciousness, because of him, everything is shining. He knows everything. Knows means, again, it's not like our knowledge. Not like our Yatri Gyeya Jnanam. That means object of knowledge, process of knowledge, and the knower. This is not this kind of knowledge. In his presence, everything shines, whatever he wants. Like in front of author, the whole story is present. So this is a different kind of knowledge. Anyway, we will go forward. Tantu pate sthito yatvat upadanataya tatha. Now he is giving an example. As threads pervade a piece of cloth and constitute its material cause, so the inner ruler pervading the whole universe is the material cause of the universe. Now, from other standpoint. So, because he is pervading everything, see, like now, we are understanding. So, how we are understanding? Through our awareness, consciousness. So, in this consciousness, when he is fully alert, everything is in his presence. That's why he knows everything. As the threads pervades a piece of cloth and constitute its material cause, so the inner ruler pervading the whole universe is the material cause of the universe. So, actually, there are not many. Even whatever we see, when our eyes are trained, then we'll see it is the same truth. Whatever is within, same truth outside. As of now, because of our ignorance, we do not see properly. But when our awareness is awakened, then that means what? As of now, we see a snake on a rope. But when our awareness is awakened, means we have light to see properly. Then we see it is all God. Swami Vivekananda, Bestard Sri Ramakrishna, sir, you please tell your mother, because he listens to you, that I'm suffering from poverty. See, why should I interfere? You go and ask. But the problem is he did not admit that Mother Kali is all-knowing and can do anything. So he said, anyway, Sri Ramakrishna prevailed upon him and he went there. But as soon as he entered there, everything was shining, everything was living and thriving. And he felt, oh, Mother is everywhere. And he could not open his mouth. First 2 times he forgot totally. Third time he remembered that, yes, I have come here to ask money. Then it came to his mind, how small I am. Should I ask Mother this small thing? What is this existence? So this happens when you have knowledge. Then there is no difference. Everything is the same, expressed as many. Neha nanasti kinchana. Here there are not many. We see many. Why? Because we are steeped in ignorance. But when knowledge dawns unto us, then we see it is the same truth. Only maybe it looks different, but it's same entity. You know, a scientist, materialist. So he will see everywhere is atom or energy and energy alone. Manifestation of energy. Energy is manifesting in so many forms, but he'll see only energy, nothing else. So the spiritual scientist will see Brahman alone. Now again, there should be a seer. And seer is with ego. It's not like this experience. When there is no ego, what kind of experience? We have to only infer. See, how can we infer? In our deep sleep, what happens? We enjoy, but who enjoys? Actually, we don't know. So we enjoy a state of joy which it is difficult to explain. Now think about that Supreme Being whose presence, in his presence, everything shines. He's enjoying, but not like ours, because we are not realized, but in his presence, everything shines, because he himself shines. There are no two that time. Okay, we go forward. One time, let me read. Since Ishvara, the consciousness in the bliss sheath, abides in and activates and controls all the functions of all other sheaths, beginning with that of the intellect and elsewhere, also in creation. It is called the inner controller. Say Sri Ramakrishna, let us take example of Sri Ramakrishna. When he is in samadhi, then he comes out. He sees in a different way. We cannot understand what way he sees. So, since Ishvara, the consciousness in the bliss sheath, abides in all, it is in you, it is in me, in everyone. Bliss sheath is there. And activates and controls all the functions. Say, when we have bliss sheath, even when you study something, that bliss sheath also there. So, in its presence, everything is activated. And it is also controlled. All the other sheaths beginning with what the intellect and elsewhere also in creation, it is called the inner controller. So this way we can understand. I mean, we can only infer. Okay, we go forward. Buddho Tishtan. The Shruti says that the Lord abides in the intellect and has the intellect as his body. Now we have completed this, no?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay, sorry.
You confused me.
Yeah, sorry. No, sorry, this one is
And the next, we should be on 166. I think.
166, okay. Just as the threads are subtler than the cloth, and the fibers of the threads subtler than the threads themselves, even so, where this progress from the subtle to the subtler stops, there do we confront the inner ruler. So here he has given a clue that we see a thread and how thread is made, how that fiber is made. So this way, say now today it's easier to think about it like atom, how atoms are made, even the quarks. Ultimately, it is energy. So just as the threads are subtler than the cloth, and the fibers of the threads subtler than the threads themselves, even so, where this progress from the subtle to the subtler stops, there do we confront the inner ruler. In the case of a cloth. But in the case of ourselves, the inner ruler is within us. He has just given an example. Since he is situated innermost of all, he is not felt at all stages. A piece of cloth, so an inner controller, because he's controlling from within. How can it be expressed outside? Only because he controls from there, we can infer that he is controlling within. See, like this government. A government, Government controls everything. But here, Washington, D.C. The capital is in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. cannot be everywhere. Or there also we can understand, say, administrator. That administrator cannot be everywhere, but he controls from there. Anyway, these are examples. Then we go forward. Dityantara akshanam. Being minuter than the minute of the second and third degree, the inmost being is not subject to perception, but by reasoning and by Shruti, his existence is ascertained. Same thing. Because he is innermost, we cannot know, because we are created being, but what we know, we can infer about him. Okay. Patarupene sanstapya, sansthanat. As the piece of cloth is said to be the body of the thread which becomes the cloth, so when he has become the universe, it is described as his body. So, as simple. This is his body. Whose body? Ishvara's. Ishvara's body. When threads are contracted or expanded or any motion is imparted to them, the cloth similarly behaves. It has no independence at all. So it is under the Ishvara, under the control of Ishvara. Similarly, the worldly objects assume the forms in that manner that transforms them according to their past desires and impressions. There is no doubt about it. Similarly, the worldly objects assume the forms in the manner he transforms them according to their past desires and impressions. There is no doubt about it. So who is doing? Because the jiva, whatever desire is there, it is merged in bliss shet. So from there it springs up, it comes out. So he illumines those. So early objects. Na Ishvara sarvbhutanam riddhesha arjuna tishtati brahman sarvbhutani jantrarurani maya. As Sri Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, in the Gita, Sri Krishna says, O Arjuna, the Lord abides in the hearts of all beings and makes them revolve by his Maya as if mounted on a wheel. Now we can say mounted on a simulator. Mounted on a simulator. So what happens? We are in simulator. This is also simulator, great simulator. So he is controlling from within. Ishvara sarvabhutanam riddhesha arjuna tishtati. He resides within. Within means what? The bliss sheath and bliss sheath, on bliss sheath he is reflected. And because of our past desires, impressions, we are as if seeing this. Whatever we experience, it is because of our past desires. So he is controlling like that. So we'll go forward. Sarva bhutani vijnanam ayaste hridaya sthitaha tadupadana bhutesha tatra vikriyate khalu. All beings in the above passage means the jivas or the sheaths of intellect. So what is jiva? Sheath of intellect. Because then only we know each other. Then only all the impressions are perceived. which abides in the hearts of all beings. All beings in the above passage means the jivas or the sheaths of intellect which abides in the hearts of all beings. Being their material cause, the Lord appears to undergo changes with them, as if. So not in reality, Lord appears to undergo changes. Now there is the Lord appears to change because of the adjuncts. Adjuncts. He'll clarify this. By word, will is meant the case of the body with sheaths, etc. By saying that all beings are mounted on the will is meant that they have come to consider the body as the ego. So it is ego. Because of ego, we have desire, and then we move around or go through various situations. So as if we are mounted on a simulator and we see our world. By the word revolve is meant the performance of good and bad deeds. Okay, we go to the next. See, I am so fast. Oh, yeah.
Not really so fast. Not as fast as you thought, so.
No, see, sometimes I have to repeat. Otherwise, like. Okay.
I had to repeat this many times.
Mhm. You are a good student. You read it. The meaning of the expression, the Lord makes them revolve by his Maya, is that the Lord, by his power of Maya, becomes involved in the intellect sheath and seems to change with the operations of the intellect. So, as of here also, it is the same awareness consciousness present in the object or reflected in the object. That's why we see various changes. And according to our desire, we experience. Suppose we want to go somewhere, then we see, yes. See, suppose I want to go to Europe. Then one day, it's Europe. See there. So Brahman Sarvabhutani Yantrarudhan Maya, by the Maya, through the Maya. So Maya means that this agatana ghatana patiyashi, that who can create whatever is desired, and impossible also can be created. So anyway, today we have to stop here. And after this, that will be there. Janami dharmam na cha me pravritti, janamya dharmam na cha me nivritti. What is the... Okay, we can take up this one also. The same meaning is expressed by the Shruti saying that the Lord is called the inner controller. By applying this reason, one can come to the same conclusion with regard to the physical elements and all other objects. Now, there is an example here. Duryodhan said to Sri Krishna that I know what is dharma, but I have no inclination to follow that. And I know what is adharma, but I cannot desist from it. What it shows? It shows we have the tendency, desire, and accumulated impressions. Samskar, we call samskar. Because of that, you see, like every day, we do this almost similar thing, though we want to do something great. But if you observe yourself, you are controlled by Maya. Why? Because of our desire, because of our accumulated impressions. We do the similar thing. And by concentration, by resolve, will, then we can transcend this. So what does he say? I know what is virtue, but my inclination is not mine to practice it. I know what is vice, but my desisting from it is not mine, but his. I do as I am prompted by some God seated in my heart. Yenapi devena hridisthitena yatha niyuktosmi tatha karumi. So, said by Duryodhana. Because he was also a great, great man. Only thing he had that vice. Say Ravana, a great Pandit, great powerful man. But he was influenced by his past impressions.
Swami, so was Yudhishthira.
Yudhishthira, yes. So even if he wanted, he could not do anything harmful. Yudhishthira did good.
But he gambled.
Gamble, that time it was Kshatriya Dharma. If challenged, say a warrior, in Europe also it was there. If challenged, they will go. Even they know that one of them will die and they shoot each other. So Kshatriya has that ego that if somebody challenges, then I should answer that challenge. So Yudhishthira had that Kshatriya Dharma means the righteousness of a Kshatriya. If someone challenges you for gambling, then you have to answer that. Otherwise, you will be coward. The mistake he did not take Sri Krishna along with him. He thought, I should not tell him. That was the mistake. Otherwise, he did everything well. The other side, there was Shakuni, because he was embodied vice. So Yudhishthira ultimately had to get defeated and lost everything. Anyway, so that's a great lesson in Mahabharata. Okay, we'll say our prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mark.
Pranam Maharaj.
Akshay, any question?
Yeah. Like, if Ishvara knows everything, then why do we pray for our sorrows?
Say it again.
If Ishvara knows our sorrows, then why do we pray to him?
Oh, yes. Ishvara knows everything. Then why do we pray? Actually, a devotee does not pray. What he does not pray to redeem his suffering. He prays, oh God, give me devotion. This much he prays. Give me your darshan. So real devotees. Ishvara Janmani Janmani. So all my births, even many times if I get birth, it doesn't matter. But give devotion to me. So this is a devotee who asks. See, we don't ask mother. Mother knows everything, what is required. And she provides everything. So God knows everything. And whatever is good for us, he'll give that. Why we pray? Okay, and it's another way of seeing it. It is said that even you have to ask mother for food, then only mother will provide. Ask milk from mother, then only mother, and you cry, then mother will know that I am hungry. So a devotee asks only whatever is auspicious. All other things God has provided without asking. Air, who has provided air to breathe? He has provided. Water, who has provided? God. Food, who has provided? Without asking, he has provided. And secondly, this is in the script. In the script, we have to appeal. You have to apply. Sri Ramakrishna says that gas is present in your vicinity. Only you have to apply. Electricity is available in your vicinity. You have to apply to connect with your house. So this is in the script that a devotee should ask. But a great devotee does not ask. He only asks devotion. Okay. Because God gives us without asking. Why should I trouble him? And God is within you. Before you know, he knows. Okay. The thing is, these are to digest. We have to understand and digest it and own it. That happens with practice. And that happens in course of time. Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
Jai Ma.